for parts, it's got a Briggs & Stratton motor on it, I believe. But I can't remember. I think it's a 15 or 16 horsepower motor. And then you either have to take the whole frame and all, or it costs you extra for me to take the motor off of it. But it is, I'd have to have somebody else to do it. But it is possible. And I've got a couple of boats and motors and trailers. You just have to call me and tell me what you're looking for. But these boats and motors and trailers is all cheap. And I've got one aluminum boat. It's a cabin cruiser.
Let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's go fishing. In the rivers and on the lakes. Let's go fishing. It's easy when you try. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind.
All right. Thank you, Chandler. Folks, we're here at glad to be here, the Let's Go Fishing show, and we're at the end of the month, Mike.
End of the month, too.
Yeah. So we're glad to be back on the air. We just tickled to death. Right? I don't have a clue of how much fishing film Mike's got, and myself included. So we're going to be looking at that here, as we get started off. Just several things going on, and I know that you all heard a lot here in the last few days about these two young gentlemen supporting Roane County, going down to I think it was Chickamauga. Had a big bag of fish, come in first place, and moving on up the line. So they had 29 pounds, I believe it was. Let me look right here 1 second.
That was the state tournament for the whole
state. Yeah, it sure was. And they had 25 pounds, and they had one that weighed 9 something. Mm-hmm. So, and there was a lot of competition. I'm looking for having those two young gentlemen over here as soon as they can't come till they finish school. And they're playing a baseball game tonight. They played a game night before last, so it's hard to get up with them. But I did get a hold of Jackson Doherty, or James's Lane. I got a hold of his dad there and got some info. So they're hopefully we'll have them on the show here in a few weeks, and they can at the next we'll film it or whatever and get it on the next month's agenda. Mm-hmm. So it sounds good. There's no telling where they'll wind up at in the future as far as weeks and months go by and that kind of thing, Mike, and competing on a lot of different lakes and stuff like that. So we just all the wishes in the world of both of them to exceed and get what they want to do.
Yeah, hopefully they'll get a scholarship to college or to be on the fishing team in one of them colleges.
That's exactly what I would think, Mike. I was from. You beat me to it, but you're exactly right, and that's wonderful. I'm tickled to death for them. That's was a big tournament, and I think they had 166 people competing in the tournament. So it's really good. Proud of both of those young guys, and look forward to getting them on the show here. Mike, we're stretching this thing out here a month at a time, and so we got to make sure we try to keep some fish coming in. What are you reflecting back on from the 1st of April there to now? What did you wind up with?
Well, I had been catching crappie out there pretty deep, and last trip we made down there, it was white capping 3-4 foot high, and you couldn't find a place out of the wind. I think I caught one crappie, and then Gary caught a smallmouth, and about 1.5 pounds, and we was up shallow fishing with grubs and stuff. Tried to get out of the wind doing that, and it was hard to do that even. And seemed like it just followed right around the banks wherever you was at. Back in the hollers, it was blowing so hard and stuff. It just, but yeah, them fish was out there pretty good. I could see the minnows out there and stuff, and but then that water's warmed up, and it gets muddy, and then it clears up, and then back muddy again. But from what I'm hearing, everybody's talking about catching crappie and 2 foot of water. Some of them around brush, and some of them around docks, and different places of structure, but they ought to be coming on the bed too, just like the bass. And things there. But yeah, the first of the month there was a whole completely different than what it's been the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Them fish, they'll turn around and migrate and change up again here, and start going back out deep for that hot weather. But a lot of them saying something about catching some trolling, and I hadn't seen anybody do it, but seen several boats out there trying it. And, I've heard that some of them catching bass out there, especially smallmouth, that they're 20 foot deep. And, heard what's the name told me that that Fort Loudon tournament they had over there, that them guys that had a big sack of smallmouth won the tournament, about 26 pounds or something like that. Smallmouth, and they went back the next day to fish another tournament, and I think it didn't have but about 35 boats in it, and it was up at Concord, and they went back up the river fishing, and like they never got back. They just had 3 little fish, and I reckon they told them, said, well, you won it, said nobody else caught anything.
Well.
So, it's just off and on with the wind and the weather, and heard a little bit on Milton Hill. They say there was some pretty good stringers coming off of Milton Hill. But, a lot of them flipping, a lot of them throwing buzz baits, and some of them got that chatterbait out, and just different types of stuff. Sinkos and different things, Some of them just flipping a big jig,
Yeah.
And stuff. So it's just anything goes right now. You're liable to get on a whole bunch, or might not catch but a few. But there sure is a lot of buck bass in there running around. And like I say, the best I've heard it up there and seen the pictures of the ones that down there the other day. When we fished the tournament down there Saturday, that been up in Riley Creek catching some good crappie up there, foot or two of water.
Well, that sounds good. Trampas down there at Reynolds, he's been catching a lot of crappie, he said.
Yeah.
So, and he said, "Now a foot of water."
Yeah, yeah.
So it's you know, it's hard to say. They can buy it today and not tomorrow.
Yeah, that's for sure.
You never know about them. That's for dang sure. So anyway, we're going to go on to start the filming and or the replay back and see where we stand.
Yeah.
Okay, Chandler. Thank you, man. See if I got my dang camera on here. Yeah, here we got it. All right, back to water with me. All right, folks. Getting focused in here. Good fish. Good. Yeah, there he is. Yeah, boy. That's a dandy. Good deal. Good deal. Back in the water with him. Just like that. Ah. All right, folks. Got a good little fish right there. Make a dandy. I'll check and measure him here right quick. All right, folks. There's the second fish. I didn't have my camera when I caught the first one. There's number two. Looking good. We're down here at Little Emery. We're going to work our way down towards the ferry bridge. Anyway, back to water. All right, folks. There we are with another pretty good little fish right there now. Dandy. Nice. Let's get him back in the water. It's another. All right, folks. There's another good fish right there now. That's pretty good. All right, back in the water he goes. That's a dandy. All right. All right, folks. There's another pretty good little fish right there now. I'm telling you. All right, we get him back in the water and get another. All right, folks. There's fish number one. That's a pretty good little smallmouth right there. Looks like a dandy. Back in the water he goes. All right, folks. There's fish number two. Boy, they got a little weight on them. Looking good. Looking good. All right, get him off and get him back in the water. All right. All right. Got a nice looking fish right there now. Good boy. Good. Dandy. Let's see if we can get another one here right quick before the sun goes down on us. All right, folks. There's a good little old smallmouth right there now. Nothing wrong with them right there. Thank goodness. All righty. We'll get him back in the water and see if we can't pick up another. All right. There's a good little old striper. Good deal, buddy. Get you back in the water and get another. All right, folks. There's another good striper. Another good. They seem to be stacked up on that pretty good right there. We get him back in the water. See if we can get another. All right, folks, there's another good striper. Yeah, they healthy. They dandies right now. All right, back in the water and we'll get another. All right, folks, there's another good striper. That means a dandy. We'll get him back in the water and let him keep on doing his thing. All right, folks, there's another good striper. I mean, they're loaded up right here on this point. There's some dandies here. Sure enough. Look at him. Oh, yeah. Lay down, buddy. Oh, that's a good. All right, back in the water with him. All right, folks, there's another good striper. There, get him off, get him back in the water, and get another. All right, folks, there's another good striper. Man, I don't know. maybe 6 or 8, 10 maybe. They're hungry. They're after it. All right, folks, there's another one. I mean, you know, when you're catching about every cast or every other cast, a gang of fish right in there. Them stripes, they look good. Here we go. Back in the water. All right, there's another one of them good-looking stripers. All right, there he goes, and probably the last one. Get back towards the trail. All right, folks, there's a real nice smallmouth right there. Pretty fish, healthy looking. I mean, a dandy. All right, we're gonna get him back in the water. Yep, boy. Here we go, little buddy. There he is. There you go. All right, folks, there's another smallmouth. Now that there's not great big, but boy, that first one was a dandy. And yeah, nice looking fish, pretty fish. Yeah, buddy. All right, we're gonna get him back in the water and see if we can get another. There we go. All right, folks, there's a dandy largemouth. Nice and healthy looking fish. Real good looking fish. All right, we're gonna get him back in the water. And that's another. All right, folks, there I got a bite, all right, but it wasn't the right species, but he's a pretty good sized fish. So I'm gonna get him up, get my glasses back on, and try to get him in the water as quick as I can. He's a dandy. Back in the water. Let's make sure, yeah, we got him on film. Back in the water. All right, folks. Just got started here fishing and got 2 dozen casts. We caught a big old drum, so I'll get him off and we'll get on something worthwhile. All right, folks. Second cast, got a nice largemouth there. I mean a dandy. Yeah boy. That's getting up there close to that 4 foot, or 4 pounds anyway. Man, that's a nice fish. I'm telling you what, that's a dandy. All right, we get him back in the water, turn him loose. There you go, baby. Good deal. There you go. All right, folks, there's another one of them stripers. A dandy. That's a dandy. We'll get him back in the water, get another one, I'm sure. All right, folks, there's a big old striper. I just hope I can get my bait out of this mouth. I'm sure gonna try it. All right, I'll get him loose and get him back in the water. Try that first fish. Give her just a little bit. Nice fish. Let's go. Sure he can eat it. All right, we'll get him back in the water. So we can't get us another. Folks, there's fish number 3. He's a good one. Back in the water with him. Here we go. There you go, buddy. Take off. Yeah. Fine and dandy. Man, I want you to look here what a bass I've got. Golly bum. That sucker must weigh 8 pounds or better. Goodness gracious alive. Hold still now, baby. Hold right still. I'll get you. God, bum, what a fish. Goodness gracious alive. I want you to look, what a fish. God, bum. All right. I'm going to put you back in the water, old gal. Me and you talking about a fish now. I'm telling you, that is a dandy. God. Here she goes. Back to you. There you go. God. Goodness gracious alive. Man, well, if that wasn't a dandy. All right, folks, there's another good fish right there. There's another one. Good deal. Make sure got the camera on right. Everything's looking real good. Back in the water. He goes. Can't see. Oh yeah, there's another good fish, folks. Andy, another good fish. Back in the water he goes. All right, folks, there's another good 3-pound fish, man, I'm telling you. A dandy. All right, back in the water. Going back in the water. Here we go. Oh, yeah. There you go, buddy. Good deal. Folks, there's you a big crappie right there. I mean a dandy. Alright, we're gonna get him back in the water. Alright, folks, there's another good 3-pound fish. I mean a dandy. Alrighty, we're gonna get him back in the water. Alright, folks, there's another good fish. Get him back in the water, see if we can get another. Alright, folks, there's the first fish for the morning. Got a nice one here. I mean a dandy. Back in the water with him. Alright, folks, there's the second fish. Number 2. Good looking keeper. Good looking keeper. Alright, back in the water with him. Alright, folks, got a little small, large mouth there. I'm going to throw back in there and see if I can get his helper. Alright, folks, there's our first largemouth. Got some stripers that's been eating us up. Back in the water we go with him. Alright, folks, there's another good little old fish. We just stay after them. See if we can keep getting them. Alright, back in the water with him. Alright, folks, there's a good looking fish right there now. It's a dandy. She's full of eggs. Looking good. Looking good. Get her back in the water. And there she goes. Alright, folks, I got another pretty good fish here. We'll get him, got him unhooked, and we're going to put him back in the water. Good deal, though, buddy. Yeah. Alright, folks, there's another pretty good little fish. He ain't bad at all. Looks good. Looks good. Get him back in the water. And we'll see if we can get another. Alright, folks, I got a good 3.5-pound largemouth here. Yeah, I mean a dandy. Maybe more like 4. Alright, we're going to get him back in the water. There he is. Take off, buddy. Alright, folks, there's our first fish. Good little old fish there. Get him back in the water, see if we can't get another. Alright, folks, there's a good looking fish right there now. Nothing wrong with that baby. Alright, we'll get him back in the water. That's a good one. Sure is. we go. Okay. Right there's a good 4.5, 5 pounder right there, folks. First fish on the day. Man, it's a good one. God, I mean the dandy. All right, back in the water, old gal. Yeah, we'll get you right back. There you go. Right. All right, folks, there's another good keeper fish right there. Another good one. All right, we'll get him back in the water, see if we can't get another. Looking good, looking good. Here we go. Yeah, there you go, old buddy. All right, folks, there's another good keeper fish right there. Yeah, boy. Let's get him back in the water. Get us another. Yeah, there you go, old buddy. All right, folks, there's another good fish. I mean, another good one. All right, we'll get him back in the water. Go from there. Good, nice keeper. Nice keeper fish, yeah. Oh, still, buddy, good keeper fish. Good fish, yeah. Dandy. Good fish, here we go. Back in the water he goes. All right, folks, there's another good fish. I mean, that gun. They're right here. They're right here. First you ever seen. There you go. All right, folks. There's another good keeper bass right there. A good one. All right, back in the water with him. Thank you, old buddy. Yeah, boy, you're doing good. Look at you there. There you go. Thank you. All right, folks, there's another good fish. Yeah, another good fish. I'll tell you what, I can't complain today about how things are going and what we're catching and all that kind of stuff. They're working on it. All right, folks, there's third, fourth fish I've caught. There's 3 lilies on the good right here. All right, we get him back in the water. Her back in the water. Good fish, good fish. Oh, he's a dandy. There you go. All right, folks, there's another good keeping bass right there. Nice one. All right, get him back in the water. Hold on just a second. Here we go. All right, folks, there's a nice fish right there now. Man, I had a big one on a little bit earlier and got a good fish right here. Nothing wrong with that fish right there at all. Nothing wrong with him. Yeah, there you go, old buddy. All right, folks, there's a non-keeper bass. We're going to get him back to the lake. See if we can't get one a little bigger. All right, back you go, old buddy. All right, folks, there's a decent fish right there. Looks pretty dang good to me. Looks real good. All right, we'll get him back in the water. All right, folks, there's another good-looking fish right there now. Pretty sure he's a keeper. All right, we'll get him back in the water here. Oh, yeah, he's looking good. All right, folks, there's a pretty nice fish right there now. And, I mean, you know, that's a good keeper. Good keeper. Yeah, we're going to put it right back there. I've caught 3 or 4 that size right there, right here in the last 5 minutes. So, back to the water he goes. All right, folks, there's a little better fish that time. Good looking fish. Here we go. folks, there's a good keeper bass right there now, for sure. No doubt about it, man. I've caught a lot of fish today. I've had 2 or 3 big ones on, and just, I mean, yeah, anywhere that's shallow water, if they can get a little bit of depth on right now, they're eating it up. So we'll get back off of here and see if we can get another one. All right, folks, there's a dandy. I need a good it's a nice one. All right, that fish weighs close to 4 pounds, a lot better. All right, we can get it back in the water, turn her loose. All right, folks, there's another good fish right there now. Sure enough. Yep, buddy, it's a dandy. Another good. All right, we'll get her back in the water. See what happens here. All right, folks, there's another good fish right there now. Another good one. Get him back in the water. Here we go. All right, folks, there's a decent fish right there now. Nothing wrong with that fish. Not one bit. All right, back in the water with him. All right, folks, there's a good looking fish right there now. That fish is almost 3 pounds. It's a good one. We're going to put him back in the water. All right, folks, there's another nice keeping fish right there now. It's a good one. Back in the water with him. There you go, old buddy. All right, folks, we're back. Mike, you know, I had pretty much time to catch all them fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I was trying to fish at least 2 days a week. Sure, he wouldn't have it, but anyway, I'll take that back. She never said a word, but there was 3 or 4 trips there that I made that I caught 8, 12, 15 fish off the same place.
Yeah.
I just spot locked my trolling motor down and throw that plug out there, and you know, you've seen. I had 2 plugs, one on each rod and reel. One of them was a shad color, and the other one was the same color or same basic crankbait, but it had a brownish yellow looking tint to it.
Mm-hmm.
And the dingy water was I threw that little old brown, it was a Sproul plug. It had the rivets on its side, each side, yellow belly, and had, you know, shoot far when you're catching 10, 12, 15 fish off the same place, there's something going on.
Yeah, they're in there feeding somewhere.
Yeah, and 2 or 3 trips, I had that same situation, and then went to 2 or 3 other places to fish, and the same daggone thing. Mm-hmm. And it was all due to the colored water, or at least in my opinion, the stained water, and then whenever I was in the clear water, I was throwing that shad colored plug.
Oh, yeah.
And I kept them 2 red rod and reels. I kept them busy. And, you know, I'd go one day and then turn right around. If nothing going on, I'd go back the next day. And if I had to wait a day or 2 for some things, why, then whenever I'd go back, but there again, I was off and on for a whole month right there. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, catching those fish, and they wasn't. I didn't try to hide nothing. I didn't. When I got the hooks out of their mouth, I put them over the side of the boat, get another, and it was a real good month as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And all of it was on Watts Bar. I fished a day or two up the Tennessee. It never got very far, and a lot of it was in the Emory area, and then down the lake. From Kingston. Whenever I found a good school of them, I just called them, turn them back, call them, turn them back.
Yeah.
I was just tickled to death. It beat. It was a lot better than me trying to work.
Well, that's for sure.
So, but it really was, and I see, this in March, April, weather can be a big factor, and it was several trips that I made. The wind was blowing real bad. You could hear it in the microphone on the cam,
Yeah.
But all in all, I was very pleased with the fish that I caught and released, and even the drum and the old stripers and stuff. You can't, when you throw it out there, what the heck? You're taking chances, and because them dang stripe, when they're up there feeding and spawning, there'll be one every cast.
Yeah.
I mean, when several times I had to move off and leave places, you catch 8 or 10 of them son of a guns. What happened to my largemouth and my smallmouth, and the dang stripers run them all off.
Yeah.
For 2 or 3 days while they was making their way up the contributaries, and so a little Emory, big Emory, just different places.
Yeah.
And but yeah, it was good. I can't complain. I hope this next month is that good.
I hear you.
And it's like yesterday. I was on North Lake. I caught 7 fish. 3 of them was keepers, due to the new regulations that they've got out now, and the other 4 of them was non-keepers. And a couple of smallmouth and a keeper largemouth, and then had 2 or 3 largemouth in there, and you know how they'll be in a foot of water, and so I missed them, but anyway, like I said, I had 7 fish, 3 keepers, 4 non-keepers.
What do they change the limits to now?
15 and a half. I think it's 15 and a half, or 15 and a half right now.
For largemouth?
No, for everything, I reckon.
Oh, they brought smallmouth.
Largemouth, I think maybe 14, and the smallmouth 15 and a half. So, and to beat it all, 2 of them fish that I caught up there, I was sitting in 40 foot of water and caught them both in 30 foot. And then the surface temperature was 70 degrees. But, I'm just giving people information. That was my first trip up there since back in January.
Well, the smallmouth doesn't spawn, so they're moving wherever the bait's at.
Yeah.
Finding the water that they like to be in. Temperature-wise and stuff, if there's bait fish out, then they're going to be there.
Right. Did you have any crappie film, or did you just let it go?
Yeah, we had some crappie film on there. Not much.
Okay, well, you want to show it?
If you want to, if you got time to do it.
Yeah, Chandler, can you put Mike's crappie film in? There is none. Okay, that answered that question. That's good. You know, we're good to go, and you know, we're looking at another month's worth of. I wished I could tell you we'd like to do the show every week, but right now it's just once a week, you know, and or once a month, and at the end of the month, why, we'll continue on until things get better.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do. You guys that's watching, you want to call in and question Mike about his fishing, why, go right ahead. We'd love to hear you. You know, and that kind of thing. So give us a call. I know them Parrot Boys is watching because Jeff called me.
Yeah.
Yeah, about 2 hours before I came over here.
Well,
And
good to hear from you.
yeah, it was. It was good to hear from him. And maybe he can get, you know, I was shocked to find out that the limit on Norris had changed, you know, like it had. 'Cause
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, it was 18 inches. wasn't
Yeah,
it?
it was. And
Yeah.
22 for a certain amount of time.
Yeah. So, you know, that's. Go ahead, Jeff, and give us a buzz down here and give us some of that information that you got up there at Norris and fill us in on what's going on, because I had no clue of what the limit was until I called Wesley there yesterday morning, and he went to tell me about that they'd changed everything. I said, well, heck, that's the first I heard of it. But anyway, yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way it is. So, Jeff, if you're watching, and give us a call down here at the studio, and let's see, 865-483-8112. Maybe he'll get that and give us an update on what's going on up there, because like I said, that first was right after Christmas or New Year's there. I fished a day up there, and hadn't been back since till yesterday.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens here, and hopefully we can figure things out. You know, get things going. But yeah, there was 2 of them fish I caught up there yesterday was 30 feet. So, every bit of it. Oh, tell me when, Chandler.
Hello, you've reached the Channel 12 News.
The top one.
The top one, okay. My fault. Hello. There we go. Sorry about that, Chandler. Hey.
Hey, Steve. Mike, it's Jeff Parrott.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me to call in.
Yeah.
I had about the same day you had, Steve, on Norris yesterday. As a matter of fact, I was out there and caught. Most of them were small. I had 2 or 3 that were keepers, but they were small. Of course, it was windy. Mm-hmm. And I was throwing a white spinnerbait. I caught those mostly in probably about 2 foot of water. They were right up on the bank.
Mm-hmm. Largemouth?
They were largemouth, and I did throw a shaky head and a wacky worm and caught a couple of smallmouth, but they were not keepers. It was they were biting. They were just not any big quality fish for me. But just typically what you said, I think I had 7 or 8 too, just like you did.
Yeah. It was. I mean, it was a tough day, really, but did wind up with 3 keepers, and I wasn't aware that they had changed the size limit up there.
Well, I wasn't either. I'm glad you guys brought that up. That's some good information there. I'll certainly keep that in mind. I thought maybe that it was the same, but that's good. Of course, I release them anyway, but
Right.
that's some good information. I know your callers would probably appreciate that too, Steve.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's, but I didn't know that. Like I said, I called Wesley and said, "What's the deal on this size limit?" And he went to tell me, and I thought, "That gone." But it is what it is,
That's right. That's right. I was looking forward to seeing Mike catch crappie there. I know it's crappie time, and we want to go too. It's always mid-April. We do brush pile fishing, and we just haven't been. We want to go, but we are getting geared up for the North Lake Walleye here, which will be pretty soon next month.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you think this next month's coming up is going to be some walleye time?
We always get them this month, Steve and Mike. We've done it since we were kids, and we always try to catch that first full moon night in May.
Yeah.
And where we go is we don't get a lot of them, but we'll get maybe in one night we'll get maybe 3 to 4 really good keeper walleye.
Uh-huh.
And we always have luck on those, and we're looking forward to that part of it. And it's just around the corner here.
Man, that sounds good to me. I'm glad to hear that, and I'm looking for that full moon, but I want to see where them brown fish is at. I want to know what's going on up there.
Yeah, we enjoy watching you and Bill and Mike on those. That's a lot of fun because you guys put that jig right on the bottom and you pull them in.
Yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, you had a good some good fish there, Steve. That was a good day. It looked like you was throwing maybe a spring crawl, and then you was throwing that natural shad color. That worked out good for you.
Yeah, it did. I sat right here. I didn't think that I'd caught that many fish, but then when I seen the film here and sitting in a place, and like I said, I hit that stop the button for the trolling motor to just sit still, just not go anywhere, and throwing them crankbaits up there. I mean, when you throwing up there on the place and it's every cast, but that goes away.
Oh, I know. That's right.
You
That's
go
right.
down
And
there.
I know you were catching those little stripers too. They were in there. That's a lot of fun. But I know you just want to get the game fish there, those largemouth and smallmouth. But boy, you had 3 or 4 there. There was some big old fish, big size fish.
Definitely, for a fact, I had 4, 5, 6, and probably maybe even 8, because I had 3 pretty good size, some real nice smallmouth. But the amount of fish I caught there over the month was, I didn't think I had near that many. Just between you and I.
I tell you what, that water temperature looks like you said, and the clarity of it, it was just right for cranking.
Yeah.
And you was on that was some good fishing.
Yeah.
I tell you what, Steve, I'm gonna let you and Mike get back at it, and you got about 12 more minutes for some more callers, and I'll hang up, and there might be somebody else might want to call in. I always enjoy you, brothers, and best of luck to you. We'll catch you again, and maybe one of these middle of the week days, you just call me up. Since we both are retired, I'll just go with you up there on North.
I'd love to have you. So have your rods ready, and I'll give you the buzz.
Sounds good, Steve. Thank you very much, and good night to you and Mike. Keep up the good work. It's a good show tonight, and I'll stay here and listen in. Have a good one, fellas.
All right, Jeff. Thank you, buddy. We appreciate you and your brother both. Really do.
Thank you, Steve. Good night to you.
All right, buddy. See you. Yeah, I mean, I didn't have any. Oh, 1 second. Now we got it. I didn't have an ideal that I knew I'd caught a lot of fish, Mike.
Yeah.
And you were just kind of getting over the sickness that you had, and I didn't want to leave you at the wrong time and that kind of stuff. So, but I can't complain. I I mean, you seen how many fish I throw back there, just like
Oh, yeah.
I did.
Yeah.
And some of them was good ones,
Oh, yeah.
and a lot of them was small ones. You know, and I'm just tickled out. I just hope my May is coming up here, and I just like to have half of them smallmouth that turned into largemouth, but you know, we're looking at one of our the May moon is always a deal, and that's just like Jeff and his brother. You know, that May is in that moonlight. There's a lot of walleye fishermen.
Yeah. Matter of fact,
Yeah.
I was talking to my buddy there, and he was telling me about one of his friends that been up there and said they caught 3 walleye up there
Already.
already. But they fish in the daytime.
Yeah. Well, it's like me and you were talking while we was watching the film there. You know, I couldn't believe that them dang smallmouth, the 2 that I caught, and the 2 or 3 bites that I had that I didn't get in, was near 30 foot of water.
Yeah.
And it coming up on May, and the surface temp at 70 degrees.
Yeah.
So-
Them walleye like that 72 degree water
Yeah.
spawning time for them. Yeah.
Well, you know, them guys, there's a lot of them that minnow fishes straight up and down.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot of them that cast the bank, and it all depends on the weather, you know, and when that moon's coming up, things go to changing.
Yeah.
You know, so it's you know it's coming. I mean, everybody that you run into is getting ready, and them that ain't, you know, the ones that's already ready, they already out there trying to find out what's going on.
That's right.
That's right. And I don't know. Tell me why there's not a lot of walleye in Watts Bar.
They are.
Huh? I think they are too.
Yeah, I've had, I don't know how many people tell me about catching walleye down there. They didn't catch a bunch of them, but they've caught some walleye down there. Most of them bass fishing catching.
Yeah. Well, a few years back, the Furry Bridge was,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was there at Ladd's Landing. I don't know. Them boys, you know, be talking and telling you, you know, yeah, we catch them walleye down there at Ladd's Landing there on Watts Bar.
They stocked them walleye in down there at Watts Bar several years ago.
Yeah.
And stuff, but I wanted to tell everybody what I seen there. I don't know if they caught it or not, but there was a show on TV. I think it was Sports Around Tennessee or something. It was by TWRA. They was first started out showing people fishing in the rivers, you know, for trout and stuff. And then it was one thing after another. And then they got down was showing the snakehead fish. It was telling everybody that if you catch one of these, kill it. Don't throw it back in the water alive. Say kill it. So I don't know exactly what all lakes that I know they've been trying to prevent them from coming upstream. I've heard that TVA had some kind of ultrasound or something other that they had at the bottom of these dams and stuff to try to keep them from migrating upstream. But that snakehead liable to be a bad thing before it's over with. That's the reason they was.
Well, where did this species come from? I mean, when did it get into the
I've
river?
heard it come from overseas somewhere, out of some of them rivers over there. You know, I don't know. It's kind of like that zebra mussel there when it come in, stuck on the bottom of them ships and stuff up there in the Great Lakes, and then people put in up there and get them stuck to their boat and go down and put it in the next lake downstream or something, or travel down to, cause from Michigan or whatever, come down to Ohio or maybe come on down to Tennessee, and because we was infested with them things there a couple of years ago.
Yeah, maybe more like 4 or 5, but yeah, they was really bad. I don't know. You know, we were night fishing up there and on North and during the summer months, and shoot, if you set the hook on something that you thought was a fish or something, and a lot of them were, but they'd run through that dang zebra mussels and cut your line and everything in.
Yeah.
Sure enough.
Asian carp is another thing that's giving everybody fits. You know, you go down the dang lake, you see them on a few of them shows where they jumping plumb out of the water and hitting people in the boat and everything. That guy had a windshield up in front of that center console, and he was wearing shoulder pads and a football helmet. Yeah, you get a 15, 20 pounder come up out of the water and hit you and knock you plumb out of the boat.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Depending on how fast you're running. But,
I seen them, you know, seen all the films and stuff that everybody else has seen it, you know, and like you said, they running out there in their boat shooting with their bow and arrow or crossbow, trying to snag them with treble hooks and everything in the world, you know, because they are an invasive species. That's where we want them out of our lakes, for sure, you know.
It's like the rockfish. They can say what they want to about the rockfish, but they're not a native species of these rivers and lakes around here.
No, but we fought that battle years and years ago.
Yeah, come out of South Carolina down there, Santee Cooper, and stuff, and that was the worst mistake they ever made, bringing them rockfish up here, turning them loose in these lakes.
Yeah. Mike and I were up there one night on a Wildcat tournament. You know, was it on Thursday night?
Monday night.
Huh? Monday night.
Monday night.
Yeah. Well, we went to North, throwed the boat in there at Anderson County Park, run across over there, paid our money and everything in, blasted off, got up there got right in there next to the point there up the lake, and dang, Mike had a little old smallmouth about 10 inches long, and they was one of them 40-pound rockfish trying to eat it.
Yeah.
So, anyway, folks, listen, it's been joyful to come back. You know, month's a long time for us, and a lot of you the same way. We want to thank our International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 917. Thank you guys for putting up with us and helping us get the film for the show and that kind of thing. So, anything you want to say, Mike?
Say hello to my brothers.
Right.
Fished that tournament down there Saturday with them, and enjoyed every bit of it there, talking to some of them I hadn't seen in a couple of years or more.
10-4. All righty. Chandler, we're gone. Let people know what we represent.
That's what we're all about. We do try to do an honest day's work for the people, and we've got operators from all over the DOE sites, TVA sites, the outside contractors. We're just about everywhere you see a heavy piece of equipment, good chance that you'll see an operating engineer on it, rather it be Barnhard. I'd like to mention them, All Crane, and all of them that's signatory to us. We have over 100 contractors that's signatory to us, so I definitely appreciate those guys all the way in Chattanooga, Kingsport, Tullahoma, throughout all the way up to Johnson City. So we do cover a big area, and just let us know if we can be any help to local contractors that come through these areas. We'll definitely send you some people.
All right, David. I appreciate all those good words, and we'll get this on the air. And I want to thank you again.
Thank you.
All right.
Let's go fishing. You know it's really great. Let's go fishing. In the rivers and on the lakes. Let's go fishing. It's easy when you try. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind. Floating on the water with good old Steve in mind.